Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Monday night connection for the week. And obviously, every week, as we learn, we're increasing every week our ability to see another phase or another picture or another frame, And one of the Kabbalists says that every week when you study something, right, it's like clothing, right? For example, a specific clothing would fit a specific event, right? You go to a black tie, right? To a tuxedo, right? All of that. You can come with a flip-flop and beach style, right? Obviously, nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't fit the event. Most of us don't even know that sometimes when we're not really building the right clothing can be a certain behavior, clothing can be a certain thinking, right? And every time we're getting different tests, is the clothing that you build fit what you want to reveal, right? So one want to be, the leader of the new world, but in the other hand, they behave very nasty, very negative, very arrogant, So obviously the clothing that you build doesn't really allow that light that you want to reveal, even exist in your life. This particular teaching, every week that you study, every week that you're showing up or listening to it over and over as much as you can, it builds a certain clothing, a certain way of thinking, a certain way of seeing another point of view, another ability that you can create by this teaching. So therefore, every week we're bringing from the Kabbalists many beautiful, hidden, sometimes buried for many, many years, these secrets. So this week, as I said before, we're speaking about the beginning of all what we call the all three religion, right? Abraham. This is the beginning of his life. Last week, this week, next 3 more weeks, you're going to hear the talk about Abraham and so forth, which is a talk about each one of us, our beginning spiritual path, our start off. Where are we coming from? Because everybody can do spiritual work. Everybody can say they're spiritual. To say you're spiritual, it's beautiful. It's a very nice and good for your resume on Instagram, right? But it's not really represent how you conduct yourself in life. What do you really know? What you really do with your life? So that's what Abraham teaching us, first where you come from. So, and the one idea that he shared is that when Abraham was meant to share that we all one, what he wanted to share with the world, that there was no different gods, different things. There's one light, and we are all the same. That was his main job, to share with so much mercy and to show to the world that there's only one way. Again, one direction, many, many different ways to get there. So to give everyone the ability to get there in the way they want, but know that there is only one light. There's only one soul that we all connected to. And then if you have it this way or that way, that's already a different discussion. In this week, the reading starts and it says, Vayar elav Hashem, the Creator, shown to Abraham. He doesn't even say Abraham, he says elav, to him. Different reason why he mentioned that. But he says, where did the Creator reveal to Abraham? He says, it's a place called Elonei Mamre. The trees, or the forest, right, of the place called Mamre. That's the name. But obviously, there's no coincidence in the reading. There's no something that was written there by mistake. It's all codes. It's all an absolute direction to what and how we can reveal more the right clothing, meaning the right the right understanding so that the right light will be connected to it. What is the word mamre? Again, it's a name of a place and there's many codes there, but I want to connect to about maybe two of them. One, mamre is come from the word also, it's also the word of lehamri, to take off. You know when a plane take off, right? So that's the word. This was amra'a, to take off, when a plane take off. That's the word. Now, obviously, one of the questions we asking, why we were using that, is to indicate that the Creator revealed to Abraham when he took off. When he took off. And again, this is something that everyone in this world troubled with, besides Kabbalists. People who study Kabbalah understand the deeper reason why. And what does the reason mean? When does the Creator need to be revealed to you, to each one of us? Obviously, majority of the people in the world, we says, when we're so low, when we lost faith, when we completely disconnected, when we see no results, that's when I pray to God and He come and help me. And the answer is no. That's why many people, when they are getting to a low place, when they are in the dark and they're asking and begging, they don't get assistance. Because remember, who put yourself in that low place? How did you allow yourself? How did you lead your life to a place where you are in that low place? So when does the Creator reveal to Abraham? When he took off. What does it mean? Only when you're up, only when you're on your way up, only when you step up your game. Meaning when you take the first step. Imagine, like a plane. Let's take the plane, right? If a plane is standing on the runway and does nothing, right? And it's so windy, would the wind elevate the plane? Plane is on the runway, standing, Even full gas, right? Full accelerated, but pressing the brake, right? The wind, let's say there's a huge wind, doesn't lift the plane to fly. But the beautiful thing is, as soon as the plane take off, it doesn't need to use as much as, gas or as much as a force. It's just floating. The air takes it, right? If you find the right location, right? The plane can really literally fly with accelerating through the wind, through the inertia, through the momentum, right? So it's not the same. So obviously the Creator, when is the Creator, is not some God who's sitting there and waiting for you. Okay, now you're moving. No, the system in place can only be activated when a person take off. Yeah, but where and what? That's why if you don't have a direction, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you're doing, there's no much of revelation can happen in your life. A person needs to be in a constant taking off, and then the wind, and then the inertia, and then the Creator will show you exactly, right, what and where to go from there. That's the first step. It's important to understand. Also, if you take the word mamre, that's the same word, is numerical value rafeh, which is a doctor or healer, right? Healer or healing, right? The same numerical value, the same word as healing, which we know each one of us, for a specific moment, there is that specific healing for that moment, healing for that relationship, healing for that for that partnership, healing for the business, healing for the body, healing for healing for your mind, right? You need always a power of healing. When do you get healing? When you're low? No. Only when you take off. The same idea. Because, what do you mean you take off? Take off over your pride, over your selfishness. That's when you get healing. Take off. Take away. Take yourself off. Take yourself away from your pride and from your miserable thinking. That's when you get healing. When you tap into mamre. Mamre is healing, but definitely what we understood is to take off. That's when the healing starts. That's when the revelation starts. That's when new idea comes. That's when new people showing up in your life. That's when the right healer come to you, right? It's interesting. They say in English they call it doctor, but in Hebrew it's rofeh, which is come from the word healing or healer, right? So imagine you go to a hospital, God forbid, somebody needs to go to the hospital and says, do you have any healer over here? Right? So no, we only have doctors, right? It seems like a contradicting, but it's a funny word. The doctor meant to be a healer. That's the original name. The next point, which speaks about Abraham, we know that he was the number one, right? If you wanted to learn from hospitality, right? Or hosting people, inviting people, being a host, right? He was the number one. He established hospitality into this world. So it says, Ve'u yoshev petach ha'ohel, and it says in the beginning that Abraham was sitting in the entrance of his tent. And as soon as you see people moving around or passing by, he's running, jumping for them and bring them to invite them in. And they can wash, they can eat, they can drink, whatever they want to rest. That was in instinct behavior. But here it mentioned that he was sitting in the edge of his tent, meaning the entrance of his tent. Obviously, most of us, not standing outside of our apartment or outside of our building and see people pass by and say, hey, do you want to eat? You want to drink? Do you need to rest? You need an hour, take a nap, come to my house, right? Nobody does it. That's what Abraham did. But nobody asks you to do it. But that's the concept. The concept is, it's not just about, bringing people to your house or hosting them. But the idea is that you want to have, am I sitting in the edge of my seat? My life, is it laid back or I'm on the edge of my seat? Look into the opportunity, open my eyes for the opportunity. It doesn't matter what's the opportunity, but I'm always in the edge of my seat. Ready to go, ready to burst out, ready to take off, ready for the next level, ready for the opportunity. Always being ready, right? Ready to go, like a jump, like a spring, right? As soon as they release me, boom, let's go, let's do it. Most of us, opportunity pass by right and left, and we sorting out, like we used to in the phone, right? Swipe, right, left. No, I don't like it. If you're on the edge of your seat, if you are ready to go, ready to burst out, every opportunity, you recognize it. And that's another way for us, because as soon as let's say, for example, how many times you heard different messages people gave you about yourself, or random messages, or random ideas, I called my friend this week, and I said, listen, I saw this, for whatever reason, it came, a little short documentary about a country in Asia, let's put it this way. But it makes no difference for you right now, what was it? But I saw this short documentary. I says, wow, it reminded me of my friend that loved that place. I call him up and I said to him, listen, that I saw the documentary and there's probably things that maybe you don't know. No, I know already. I says, but yes, but no, I already did. Everything you're telling him, he tells you, yeah, I know, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, they told me all kind of things that is, if he would listen to another point of view. So as soon as I hear that, I said, okay, the person is not even open and think he knows everything, doesn't even let you speak. Yeah, I know about this, Again, right away you feel the person is not ready and willing to do whatever it takes. Right there you feel that the person is not there. Is that not bad, by the way? But it's not like doesn't see the opportunity, because it's when you come to someone and he's like lay back in the couch, right? And tell him, I have an opportunity. It takes time. But when you're on the edge of the seat, ready, boom, that is what Avraham. And that is what we want to receive from this week. That ability to jump to an action when I see the opportunity. So again, that's what he says, Vayaratz likratam, and then Avraham saw 3 people walking around his tent, and he ran to them. How many of us chasing after opportunity to share? How many of us chasing after opportunity to be of service for others? Wow, it's an opportunity to share. I'm going to run for that. I'm going to be the first one to do it. And specifically, when it's totally uncomfortable. That's when Avraham did this. It's not when he was comfortable or, I clear my schedule, so whatever opportunity comes, I'm going to jump on it. That's not what we're talking about. The education that Abraham giving us is that usually opportunity come when you least expect it, when you don't even, I clear my schedule, okay, whatever comes. That's easy. That's easy, right? Because even though the next, in one of the verses, it says, Va'elokim nisa et Avraham. The Creator tested Abraham. And we all know, many people know, again, I'm going to share it soon, but he had 10 different tests, 10 different major tests. And again, it's all relative to where we are and where Abraham was. So the test of Abraham, we're going to speak a little bit more about it. But when does a person get tests from this universe? When do you get tested? Right? Most people think like, okay, I'm ready for the test. Right? We build up momentum, we build up a courage, we build up desire. Now I'm ready, test me. Right? Like in school, when you go to school, anybody likes those pop-up quiz, right? Oh, why now? You didn't prepare us and all of that, complaining about it, right? Because we don't like surprises. But it says, the Baal Shem Tov, one of the Kabbalists, says, when does a person get tested? When he is in katnut. Katnut, which means smaller thinking. When a person is in a smaller thinking, thinking small, thinking limited, thinking like about this, I just want to be tested here, I just want to be tested there. When a person is in katnut, in smallness, that's when the tests come. Not when you're on the top of the game and you are like, you have all the time and you're ready and willing and waiting for the tests. No. It comes when you, let's say, for example, if they tell you, oh, you want to have your relationship, the true relationship, to be with your soulmate, let's call it this way, right? Or you want to find the company that you need to work for, or the career that you need to have, or the deal that you need to have, right? Yes, I'm ready. Test me. The test comes when you least prepare, when you least expect it. When you're totally in the lowest of the lowest, that is when you get tested. Not when you're all high and I'm ready and I'm this and I have all my friends and I'm like feeling energized and I'm good. Now test me. The test won't come. That's a joke. The test came to Avraham only when he was in katnut, only when he was in so much pain. Only the hardest part, right? Is when not when you're great and everything is ready and so listen to this. Understand where and when your test is coming. And if you pass that test when you in katnut, in smallness, in narrow thinking, then you can accumulate the big thinking. Then you can accumulate that light that is waiting for you. So obviously this is this is what we, and again, he also said, when you're in the smallest place and you get tested, oh, now I'm getting tested, right? It says, the Baal Shem Tov says, the better for you to use a joke, to use laughter, to use happiness to get out of the situation when the test comes. Laugh on the test when in that moment, because most of the time in this small place, we like look at that and become even more victimized by that test. Right now, it comes in the wrong time and all of that. Laugh about it, happiness about it. In that particular moment of the test, this is how you eliminate these places that we, that small, tight place that we're falling into. And then you definitely passed the test and greater reality comes. Another one thing that I want to share, it's a known story. For those of us who study for some time, you know that Abraham, had a relative. It's called Lot. His name is Lot, L-O-T. It's not a lot, but Lot. So he was in a city, and that city was about to be destroyed. And three people went and gave him a message. But the message was, you have to leave this place. Obviously, it was a relative to Abraham's family, but he had also his own tests. And they told him, you have to leave right now and never look back. Even physically, don't look back. So in the story, again, I hope we're taking it completely right. They start walking, and his wife turned back, meaning look back. She looked back, she became, a pillar, or what you call it, a rock of solid salt. I don't know the right word for that, but she turned into salt. Now, growing up, you listen to this, you say, oh, this woman and this and that. We learn Kabbalah. And obviously, I'm saying it here so many times. I hope everybody listens to this. It's not talking about a woman and a man. It's all code for us. It's each one of us have that female and male. Female represent the vessel point of view, and male represent the light point of view, the energy point of view. You have to have both, right? You have the vessel, and you fill it up with water, right? Or with whatever liquid you want, or whatever it is that vessel is equipped to accumulate. Each one of us have our spiritual vessel and the light within us that needs to work together. Light and vessel has to be combined. So in that story, what is the woman represent? The vessel point of us. What is the vessel point of us? Why the vessel point of us have so much difficulty in moving forward, right? Our vessel is always looking back. What do you mean? Most of us, looking back, well, even the conversation we're talking about, looking back, they actually I see now how bad those people are. Looking back, I realize what a mistake they've done not doing deal with me. Looking back, I was saved not doing deal with them, right? But we're always looking back to feel good about ourselves today. Majority of us doing that. I mean, obviously, if you study a little bit Kabbalah, you know that we're only looking back to learn what we've done wrong so we can change it in the present. That's the only reason. The only reason you're looking back is to see where can I change, what can I change about my behavior yesterday, so today I'm not going to get stuck or small or into a small place. Majority of us, I mean, if you not study for a while, if you've seen in this world, people always, looking back. Don't look back, right? How many times you heard, move forward, don't look back, right? How many times people tell you, let go of that deal, don't look back. Let go of that apartment, don't look back. Many of us, oh, we should have taken that opportunity. Oh, we should have taken that apartment. Oh, if I knew I would stay in that job. Or if I knew I wouldn't come back. If I knew that she and he will cheat me, I wouldn't come back to be in relationship with them and all of that. How many of us been in a relationship that for whatever reason broke up? And we're always looking back to go back to them. Why? Why? Yeah, because whatever reason, we don't let go. Another reason people looking back is to receive more from yesterday. I want more energy from yesterday. What about today? Oh, today it didn't start yet. I'm going to get energy. What I'm going to get today is going to be for tomorrow. No. Each one of us looking back to yesterday because we want more. Or let's say, for example, how many of us let's say, had a bad experience yesterday, and then you look back, you get even more upset today, thinking about it. Wow, and I'm sure they did this, and I'm sure they were lying, I'm sure they're not getting it, and I'm sure that this, and I'm sure that, and all kind of like feeding ourselves of yesterday. And what do you turn into? Salt. Dead, right? Look at the Dead Sea. Why do you call it Dead Sea? There's all salt, dead, nothing going on, nothing grow from them. They indicate that when you look back, not for the right reason, right? That's why it's indicated the woman look back, meaning the vessel look back, not the light. The light point of us moving forward. There's so much light to be revealed. But obviously, the woman, right, the vessel, us, the me, the what we call in Kabbalah, the right word for that is called aratzon lekabel atzmo, the desire to receive for the self alone. Go back. Okay, I forgot my jewelry. Move back, you're gonna die. No, I forgot the Prada shoes. I'm gonna go get them. What do you mean? Move forward. Don't go back. How many times we told ourselves, don't go back. Move forward. Don't look back. Right? How many times? Sometimes I have a lot of conversation with people that I realize you have to move forward with that. You have to let go. Right? Nothing new comes to you. Why you all those years? It was beautiful back in the time. Right? How many of us, myself sometimes included, right? Before technology, before this, oh wow. Go speak to the young people today. What are you talking about? Move forward, move on. Stop it. Right? So obviously there's many things that today, people, sometimes creating unnecessary delays, unnecessary stops, or people look back and like, I'm so happy that they fail. You're looking back how they fail, or who wasn't invited, right? Or who wasn't there, or why they were there and I wasn't. Move on. But they didn't invite me to the birthday party, to that this, to that, to the they did a whole ceremony. They didn't invite me, or they didn't do this. Go forward. Move forward. Move on. Don't look back. You look back, only salt, meaning salt, bitterness, nothingness, nothing grow from that. That's the indication. So it's a very important, a very important aspect of who we are. There's no life in looking back. So a couple more idea, maybe two. It's a very kind of like sad story, but I like to share it in this week because it's important for all of us. Abraham had a wife, his name is Sarah, and she couldn't bear kids. So she told him, take the maid, right? Take Hagar, and have a child with her. So you will have a continuation, because obviously she couldn't bear kids. Long story short, she offered that. He had a child with Hagar, with and then she have a boy, and then Sarah got pregnant, and also had a boy. His name is Isaac, and one was Ishmael. The funny thing about this story is that as soon as she had the child, she told Abraham, send this woman, Hagar, and a child, they cannot be here. Almost like kick her out, like a very mean in a way. It's a very sad story, she's a lost woman with a young child. You throw her into the desert. Back then, it's not like today. She taking an Uber, okay, take me to the closest motel, right? Or go back to your, say in the middle, where? With nothing, right? Talking about 4,000 years ago. Where does she go? So in a way, it was like, it's so hard. It's so harsh, actually, to read this story. Again, most of us, when you read these stories, it's like, it's sometimes very harsh, very difficult to hear them. So Sarah knew that Abraham wasn't capable of doing it. He wasn't able to do what she said, what she was able to do, which completely kick out the woman and her child. Now, it's amazing. It's amazing that in one hand, I can read that story and it creates such a judgment and such a difficulty in listening to this. But if you study Kabbalah a little bit, then you realize what it's all about. And again, it's the most important part is how does it relate to my life today? And how? Beautiful. How many times you were kicked out? How many times they fire you from a job? How many times you've been left? How many times you've been dumped? How many times you weren't paying attention, right? Or people didn't pay attention to you? How many times? And every time like that it's happened, and you felt bad, it has to create another opportunity to throw you out again. Just to imagine that. Why? Because Sarah, unlike Abraham, he couldn't do it. Even though he saw the big picture, he couldn't do it. Sarah knew if this boy will stay next to that boy, they're not going to be able to shine the way they meant to be shine. Yeah, it was difficult for her, and it was difficult for Sarah to send her away. In the story, it seems like, kick her out. Very difficult for her. What do you mean to throw this mother and a child? It's my husband's kid. But she saw that there's no way for that child to grow to when he can become a huge leader to the world, and vice versa, the other kids as well. Isaac and Ishmael, both huge leader, huge lineage. But if they would stay in the same house, both of them will be diminishing. Their power will diminish each other. And therefore, the hardest call sometimes is to kick her out or to kick that person out. Sometimes when we stay in too long in a certain position of our job, because we're comfortable, because we got used to it, we have 6 more, 7 years more to the retirement. So all kind of stories like that, When you've been kicked out, when they broke up with you, wow, It's because your light cannot shine where you're at. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing is bad about you. If you fall to victimness and blaming and start accusing why everybody did what they did to you and start posting on Facebook and on whatever, oh, victim, what do? You create another situation to be thrown again. Why? Until you're going to learn. Because the reason they kick you out of this company, because you won't be able to shine like you meant to be shine. You meant to bring so many people closer to the light. You meant to bring huge revelations for, but you get stuck in this place. Again, I'm not saying that every day you should be kicked out, right? Or maybe if you're doing something wrong, maybe you should be kicked out. But it's not about that. Sometimes, most of the time, it's like unexpectedly. I don't know, what have I done? I don't know why they want to terminate my contract. Right? All of a sudden, the apartment, oh, we have to leave, right? The apartment. Great. Take it in this way. Take it in that way, because the only reason is because you meant to grow way bigger than that. So again, I hope you can take it, again, from a difficult story that we can read. You see the beautiful light that is really meant for us to learn and to create clothing. When we create a behavior like that we equipped ourselves with, that if tomorrow you have to be moving, you have to be thrown out or whatever it is, that's great. That's the message. There's no other message. Again, unless you are very negative and very bad in what you're doing, so obviously you're not the right person. Either way, they're going to kick you out. And the last idea is a story that I can tell you from my experience. It's thrown off so many people to be related to the Bible, the Torah, and so forth like that. And it's the story of, in this week, it's called the binding of Isaac. So if you read the story literally, a lot of people that read that story growing up in churches, in synagogues, in myself, growing up like that, this story is kind of like, stay like the way it is, which means, if you're looking at the story, there's no solution really of why that story appeared. Okay? Some commentators, some people go a little bit extensive and learn about the commentary of the story. But not enough people study Kabbalah to understand the real reason of that story. What is the story? One of these tests, 10 tests that Abraham needs to go through, one of them is to go and sacrifice your own son, your only son. Sacrifice him. So obviously, again, most of us don't even know, but Abraham was 130 years old. And we're not talking about the little baby that he needs to sacrifice as the picture. Isaac was 37 years old. He's like a 40-year-old man. He's not like willingly, yes, Dad, I'm going to lie down here, take the knife. And the story is a little bit different when you think, or when they picture it like a little baby that is sitting there, an infant, and then the dad is trying to kill him, and then an angel come and stop him. That story obviously is a bit, was outrageous for a lot of people. It says, oh, what is this Torah? This is terrible. This is the God. This is the kind of God that you want me to study from, that tells someone to sacrifice his own son. Again, some people didn't take the next level of understanding it, but just kept it in a way of like resistance to this idea. Again, I don't have much time. We have to get closer to finish here, but what do we want to receive here? We know it's all energy. We know that Abraham represents what we call the ultimate chesed, the ultimate giving, the ultimate light of certainty. And Isaac, which is his son, represent what we call the desire to receive. I want. The ultimate bravery, the ultimate logic, the ultimate, systems in place that we have. So we have a light that energy is like completely above nature. And there's an energy within us that is completely in nature, limited, fragmented. That's Isaac. What we want to do, we want to combine these two energies together so it will be an unstoppable human being. When you combine the two, right? One can be, if you're talking about Isaac, it's all clear, logically fragmented. 1 + 1 is 2, and so forth. Comes Abraham, unlimited, beyond logic, above nature, no impossibility become possibility. When you combine the two, then you create an unstoppable individual. Now, again, the combination, we're going to keep talking about it. But for our story right now, what do we receive in this idea? It's called the binding of Isaac. The binding of what we call the left column, which is the desire to receive. Very, very clear description for that. We can study more about it, but for now, for this week, as much as we can get, is how many times before I take an action, I'm tying up my desire to receive for the self alone. I'm tying up, meaning I choke my desire to receive for the self alone. That in that action, there won't be any place where my selfishness can nourish and can take from. That is how you become unstoppable. Because what stops you? Only the smallness that we have. Only when we want for ourselves alone. That's what stops you, right? So now, the practical way. It says, when Abraham tried to slaughter his son, and an angel come and stop him, and then he lifts his head and he says, "Vayar v'ine ay lecha nechaz bekarnav, besvach bekarnav." Then he raises his head and he see a deer stuck with his horn, right, with his head in a bush. It's called a svach. In his head was stuck in a bush. So he was capturing him and slaughter him instead. But obviously, it's all code, beautiful. The idea is that every time you take an action that you haven't yet controlled the desire to receive for the self alone in that particular action, the result of that is complexity. Complexity. Meaning the idea svach bekarnav, the idea of that deer that holding in the almost that deer is holding that bush. Almost that deer. The bush represents svach, which means complexity. So it's almost like when you have any desire to receive for myself alone, everything can become very complicated. This is the simple, practical way of doing things. Before I'm taking an action, I need to think for myself, within myself, not with calculating with anybody. Oh, but they are very selfish, and she is very selfish, and no. Look inside. Can I bind? Can I tie up my selfishness to the tree? Right? I want to tie it up. I don't want it to get loose. Right? Because sometimes we become selfish. It's like let loose. And like we grab and we take and we careless about anything, and then later on we feel bad and we feel lonely because we isolate ourselves and blah, blah, blah. Every time you see something too complicated in your life, it's because that action had a bottom line, had a root that is connected to the desire to receive for yourself alone. Is that as simple as I can say it? You see something complicated in your life? It's because you wanted to do great, but within it, the deeper aspect of that, there was some connection tied up to the desire to receive for yourself alone. And therefore, if you want to completely be be able to create great things, amazing things, is before every action, before starting of every project, before starting of every day. Every day, today, I tied up my desire to receive for himself alone. He cannot take for himself alone. Every action I'm taking is not going to be for myself alone. It's going to be for the sake of sharing. And therefore, you become a simple individual. Now, again, what does it mean simple? One hand is being complicated, one hand being simple. The word simplicity is not simple meaning from the point of view of such a dumb person or not so smart or not so wealthy. That's not the idea. It's the idea that I was able to leit pashet. I'm able to be spread, to touch so many people. That's what I mean by Adam Pashut. Adam Pashut, simple person is someone who can be related to so many others. Why? Because they're not tied up to the desire to receive for myself alone. Only what I want from them. That's why. That is what you can create for yourself today, being able to connect to everything. This is the education of that story. That story is the story of every single day of our life. I hope that's clear. And if not, please listen to it again. If you have any question, you can always comment, send an email or text or whatever it is. Thank you for showing and showing up and help us spread this wisdom. Have a wonderful night.